Nebi Saleh, a tiny village in the occupied West Bank that has been waging a sustained unarmed resistance movement against Israel's military rule.
يعني هو طخني من هان ظلت كسرت كل شيء ووقفت هان.
This is the birthplace of Ahed Tamimi, the Palestinian teenager who confronted armed Israeli soldiers in front of her house and served 8 months in prison. Her slap reverberated around the world, catapulting her into the international spotlight as a symbol of Palestinian resistance.
The normal answer for the Israeli occupation is to slap them.
She's blonde, with curly hair, with colored eye. That's why her case went worldwide.
In the days leading up to her release, I came to Nebi Saleh to learn Ahed's backstory and to experience for myself daily life in this village, which is being choked by an illegal Israeli settlement and which suffers regular violence from the occupation forces. I wanted to hear what lies ahead for the young generation of Palestinians growing up under an occupation with no end in sight.
فكرك تقدر تعيش بسلام مع المستوطنين اللي عايشين هناك؟
مش عيش بسلام طالما هم مع أرضنا.
We're in the Palestinian town of Nebi Saleh in the occupied West Bank, where Ahed Tamimi grew up. And right across the road over there is the illegal Israeli settlement of Halamish. And the presence of those settlers and the many soldiers deployed here to protect them has made life for villagers in Nebi Saleh a living hell. These are regular scenes in Nebi Saleh. Israeli soldiers firing tear gas, skunk water, rubber-coated steel bullets, and even live ammunition, while unarmed Palestinians marched carrying flags and banners and sometimes throwing stones. For the past decade, the villagers have led a popular nonviolent resistance movement to protest the Israeli settlers' creeping confiscation of their land and resources. This resistance campaign began in 2009 after settlers took control of a natural spring that's owned by one of the elders in the village. The Tamimi family traces its roots back to Nebi Saleh for hundreds of years. More than 500 people live here, most of them extended family. Across the road, the Israeli settlement of Halamish was created in 1977. It's one of more than 200 settlements in the West Bank built on occupied Palestinian land in violation of international law. Before you can even enter Nebi Saleh, you have to pass by the settlement and an army base to protect it. An army observation balloon with cameras monitors the village at all times. International law allows Palestinians to resist occupation, even via armed struggle within the bounds of the laws of armed conflict. The villagers of Nebi Saleh have chosen a non-violent path, but the army's response has been anything but non-violent. Ahed's life changed on December 15th, the day her 15-year-old cousin Muhammad was shot in the head at close range by an Israeli soldier.
احكي لي وين بالضبط طخك وين دخلت الرصاص؟
يعني هو طخني هان من هان ظلت كسرت كل شيء ووقفت هان هي. يعني هذه قطمتها العضلة هذه قطمتها.
His injuries were so severe he had to be put into a medically induced coma, and he lost an entire part of his skull.
احكي لي عن يوم ما تصوبت انت، شو بتتذكر؟ شو صار؟
يعني كان في مواجهات في البلد يوم أعلن ترامب إنه الكل بدهم ينقلوا على القدس. كنا يعني في الفيلا هاي اللي تصابت فيها كنا نلعب في فوتبول، فكان صوت الجيش عند قربوا على الفيلا. يعني في 2 كانوا معي هربوا، طلعوا عن الصورة هربوا. طلعت عن الصورة وقفت أنا بدي أشوف إذا دخلوا ولا لا، فاتوا على الفيلا. لو كان متخبي بده يسقط ولد ولا حدا، كانوا متخبين. يعني أول ما طلع علي، يعني أول ما شافني طخني إياها. لما صحيت في الاستشاري كنت موفى 17 يوم أنا في العناية.
أغمى عليك يعني؟
وكانت المطاطة يعني واصلة عن الدماغ سنتي بعيد عن الدماغ، يعني لو مشي شوي يعني استشهدت.
حياتك تغيرت؟
حياتي تغيرت عن أشياء كثير في البلد. يعني بطلت ألعب فوتبول، بطلت يعني أروح مع الأولاد أجري، بطلت يعني أجي هنا أوكل أشياء تين أوكل لوز، يعني بقدرش بخاف على حالي أغمى أدوخ يصير لي شي لما أوقع بخاف من أشياء كثيرة في البلد.
Hours after Mohammed was shot, Ahad confronted two armed soldiers in front of her family's house. The incident was filmed and shared on social media by her mother Neriman, who would later be arrested and charged with incitement. Millions around the world were captivated by the image of a young girl showing no fear as she hits out at heavily armed soldiers. 4 days after, Israeli soldiers came to her house in the middle of the night and arrested her. While filming around Nebi Saleh, we were stopped several times by various Israeli soldiers. So they just told us we're not allowed to film that either. And we were stopped by a guard for the settlement. What are we allowed to film?
Not the issue, not the settlement.
Not the settlements?
No, you can photos there in Nebi Saleh, free.
Okay. Is that a law?
Is it a law? Yes.
It is a law.
It's the law that written in the Torah.
Oh, in the Torah?
Torah.
Oh, okay, so we're following the law of the Torah. So no filming
Yes,
the
yes.
settlements.
No, and
No.
don't photo me.
Okay.
Don't take a picture of me.
All right. A few miles outside of Nebi Saleh, Israeli soldiers threw a stun grenade at us for filming around a checkpoint.
Okay, all right. Put the camera down. I don't speak Hebrew. I'm an American. Okay.
Like elsewhere in the West Bank, childhood for the youth of Nebi Saleh is anything but normal. For many here, it's not a matter of if they'll get arrested, but when. Because of that, the adults in the village organize regular training sessions where they simulate the experience of getting arrested, detained, and interrogated to teach the children their rights and what to expect. During her hours-long interrogation, Ahad remained silent, refusing even to say her name. As many as 700 Palestinian children under the age of 18 from the occupied West Bank are prosecuted every year through Israeli military courts. They're not accompanied by a parent and are often interrogated without a lawyer or being informed of their right to silence. Over the last 3 years, the Palestinian child prisoner population has doubled. Ahad's first cousin, 11-year-old Samir, became known as Spider-Man because he regularly dressed up as his favorite comic book hero during the weekly marches. He liked how Spider-Man helped people and thought wearing his costume would give him special powers. I asked him what happened to his eye.
كانوا الجيش جايين عبيتنا الصبح وكان في مواجهات ولما طلع رمى رصاص الكناهن وقعدنا نلعب فيهن انفجرت في رصاصة.
انفجرت في ايدك؟ وبعدين شو صار؟
طلع الشظية جت عند عيني وفي صبعي.
There are so many remnants of tear gas and sound bomb canisters left behind by Israeli soldiers. Samir's family hung them up in front of the entrance of their home. His mother Manal told me why.
We want to show people who's coming that all these kind of weapons it's used against us for adopting nonviolent resistance.
Manal says she's been injured countless times during the village's protests, one time even getting shot in the leg with a live bullet. And she's been arrested 3 times. The last time was during a women's sit-in outside the military court at one of Israel's prisons, 1 week after Ahad was arrested.
That was the worst experience because the minute they arrested me, they took me back behind the guard room and they attacked me. They began to kick me and beating me with their legs and their rifles. I didn't have any medical treatment, so after 2 days, my face, it was like this.
Why did they hit you when you were arrested the last time?
Without any reason.
Just days after she was released, Israeli soldiers arrested her teenage son Mohammed from their home. And like Ahad's arrest, it happened in the middle of the night. I asked Manal why they arrested him.
Throwing stones. It's the typical charges. when they can't find evidence against one of the youth, or the typical thing is throwing stones, and they will have 1 or 2 or 10 soldiers as eyewitness.
Stone throwing is the most common charge levied against Palestinian children and is punishable by up to 20 years in prison under Israeli military law. After being arrested, children are taken to interrogation, where they're often tied at the hands and feet, denied food and water, and are physically and verbally abused. Manal says her son Muhammad's interrogation was so severe, it nearly broke him.
He was kept in an interrogation center called fiftieth, which is one of the worst interrogation centers inside the 48th, and the cells are underground. He's not allowed to see anybody. He went from 5 in the morning until 10 at night every day.
Being interrogated?
Being interrogated. The room were lighted 24/7. He's not allowed to have a shower to change his clothes. So for 25 days he couldn't take a shower or anything. Only small meals of smashed potato, like 1 spoon of smashed potato to keep him alive, actually.
Muhammad's brother Osama, who was arrested 10 days after him, was forced to watch his brother's interrogation, a form of psychological torture.
How do you feel as a mother having 2 sons in Israeli prison right now?
It's awful. The worst nightmare that any mother could go through, that to know that her children or her sons taking the sequences of a decision she took. When I took the decision to participate in the nonviolent resistance, I knew that at one point my children gonna be punished.
Israel's occupation, which is more than half a century old and with no end in sight, puts Palestinians in the West Bank under Israeli military law and a system that denies them the legal rights of citizens. Israeli settlers living in the same territory have full democratic rights and are governed by Israeli civilian law. That means a Palestinian and an Israeli settler can commit the same exact crime but be tried in different courts with different outcomes. Under the military court system, Palestinians face a conviction rate higher than 99%. This dual and discriminatory legal system has been denounced by many in the international community as exemplifying apartheid.
As part of the preparations for Ahad and her mom's return home, they're about to raise a Palestinian flag right now.
I wanted to visit their home to see how the rest of the family was doing, with half of its members imprisoned by Israel. Ahad's older brother Waad has also been in jail since May, serving an 18-month sentence for throwing stones. Her father Basim is one of the leaders of the grassroots resistance here. He's been arrested by Israel several times and was tortured in jail.
You guys filmed Ahad as she slapped the soldier, and you decided to publish the video knowing very well that she might be arrested, she might go to prison. Why did you do that?
We are a freedom fighter. We are not a victim. For that, yes, I know that she will be. And we know that she will be arrested. But we believe that it's our part of our duty and responsibility to encourage our population and our society and our people that everyone can do something.
Knowing that she went to jail because of the video, do you regret publishing it?
If it's returned, I will publish it another time.
You would do it again?
Yes, I will do it again. It's part of our strategy to build the belief of nonviolent resistance and to show the world our message. And if we struggle, we must be ready to pay the price. Without freedom and without justice and dignity, there is no life. Ahad slapped the soldier. This is a normal react. It's a normal way. Not to slap the soldier is abnormal.
Why do you say that it's normal?
The normal answer for the Israeli occupation is to slap them. The normal way to deal with our enemy is just by resistance. And I think everyone in the world, every parent would like their daughter to be strong like Ahad, not to be broken in front of an armed man.
In the meantime, the emotional scars left on his children are evident. Basim says his son Muhammad, nicknamed Abu Yazan, copes with the absence of his mother, sister, and brother by telling himself that they're just away on vacation.
I ask him, all the time asking, why you don't ask? He said, die. convince myself that they are traveling outside. I don't want to think.
He's in denial.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not where the trauma for these children ends. Earlier this year, Samer witnessed his 21-year-old cousin, Izzeddin Tamimi, get shot and killed in his backyard by an Israeli soldier. The following footage is graphic.
كان يوم صبح على 7 كانوا أهلي طالعين على شغلهم وفيش غير أنا وأختي وبنت عمتي وكنت بدي أروح على دار سيدي هناك أمن لي وأنا نازل هجموا الجنود جري رجعت على بيتنا كنت شايف في إشي على الأرض بس ما عرفت شو هو بعديها طلعت على ظهر بيتنا شفناهم بضربوا في حدا طلعنا شفنا إنه عز مطخوخ وبضربوا فيه
شفته وهو بضربوا فيه؟ شو شفت؟
شفتهم بضربوا فيه في رجليهم على بطنه وعلى ظهره وعلى راسه.
خفت لما شفت شو صار له؟
خفت كثير أول إشي لأنه منظر مش طبيعي إنه نشوف واحد مستشهد. أيام برضه خفت لأنه أهلي ما كانوا في البيت عنا والجيش مش مخليني أنزل على دار سيدي.
Israeli soldiers left Iz bleeding for 30 minutes before eventually transferring him to a military vehicle. Once there, he was held for another 15 minutes without medical attention.
We want them to take him to the hospital!
The soldiers then surrendered him to an ambulance, but it was all too late. The trauma that children like Samer witness is even apparent in the games they play.
The only thing they are saying, the brutality of the soldiers, the suffering of their families. They saw their family got injured, got arrested. They are thinking this is the normal life that we are living. You will see them either playing soldiers, Palestinian and soldiers, throwing stones at each other, or playing like now, Samer, he was playing with Watan, handcuffed him, like he's the weakest person here, and so he's like Palestinian, we can arrest him or we can handcuff him.
Ahed's story has cast a spotlight on a new generation of Palestinian youth, their plight, their hopes, and their increasing influence in the resistance against Israel's rule over them. It's a generation with less loyalty to the different political factions and growing disenchantment with the Palestinian Authority, whose security forces have coordinated closely with Israel for more than 2 decades.
What do you think Ahed's generation will accomplish that your generation wasn't able to?
I think we are the generation of the first Intifada, and we do our duty and our responsibility. We succeed partially, but I think this generation will be able to make a big change. They do what they believe. Nobody controls them and said it's okay or not okay. They are more free.
12-year-old Salam is Ahed's youngest brother.
شو أكثر إشي في حياتك تحلم فيه؟
الحرية.
شو معنى الحرية؟
إشي كثير كبير. يعني معناه يعني أنا بلعب بس مرات بيجوا بخربوا. يعني بصير أروح واجي بسرعة مش هم يعوقوا علي ويعني بس أطلع أسافر يحجزوني.
مين هم؟
الجيش.
While Ahed's incarceration made international headlines, it is not unique. Last year, Israel arrested 1,467 Palestinian minors. And there are currently around 60 Palestinian females in Israeli prison, many of whom have longer and harsher sentences than Ahed. The lack of attention other prisoners get is a reality that Ahed's own family members acknowledge.
Ahed has captivated the world partly because she is a woman. She's a female.
She's a female. Not wearing hijab. She's blonde, with curly hair, with colored eye. So she's the best example for the European and Western girl. That's why her case went worldwide in the time that there are Palestinian female minors lying under very bad situation. But nobody care about this because they're not blonde. We still suffer from white privilege and discrimination.
As the hours count down for Ahed and her mother's return home, the future for this village and for the Palestinian people remains grim.
It's been almost a decade since you guys started your marches and protests, and during these past years, you've lost so many relatives. They've lost their lives or they've been in jail. Do you think it was worth it, and was it the right strategy?
It's not easy after 70 years of occupation to keep asking for your right. We are not, because we are the owner of this land, and we are the resident of this land, and this is our history in this land, and our duty and responsibility to resist.
أنت من الجيل الجديد، شو بتتمنى لحياتك؟
إن فلسطين ترضى حرية، إحنا نتعلم، ندرس في الجامعات، نشتغل، يعني تصير كل البلاد عندنا زي برا، يعني برا يعني عندهم كل شيء، يعني مش محتلين أشياء.
إنه تتحرر فلسطين ونعيش بسلام ونقدر نتنقل من المدن والدول بلا حواجز من إسرائيل.
فكرك تقدر تعيش بسلام مع المستوطنين اللي عايشين هناك؟
مش عيش بسلام طالما هم مع أرضنا.
In part 2 of this series,
This is total chaos right now.
Ahed Tamimi is released from prison in a chaotic and emotional day. I sit down with the Palestinian teen icon to hear what's next for her.
من وين جبتي هاي الشجاعة إنه أنت بنت تضربي واحد جندي مسلح ممكن يموتك؟
أهلي مربين إنه دايماً ما أسكتش عن الغلط، يعني إنه دايماً أوقف بوجه الغلط.
Hey guys, it's Dina, and that's life in Nebi Saleh. Make sure you check out part 2 of this series, which is the day of Ahed Tamimi's release from prison and my one-on-one sit-down interview with her. Please like, share, and comment on this video, and don't forget to like and follow our page Direct From to catch all episodes.